Hello and welcome back to the Movie Pope podcast. And today we have a very special guest on the show. We've got Taylor Montalto from the Independent Picture House, and we're going to chat about the upcoming Charlotte Film Festival, which premieres on Tuesday, the 24th of September. And it's quite exciting too, because usually around this time of year, that's when film festivals kind of get up and running. So I'm really, really excited to have Taylor on here to talk about the Charlotte Film Festival, because oddly enough, this particular festival has I've never actually interviewed anybody for the show. But before we dive in, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and let us know down in the comments below what you think. If you're enjoying the content, or if you want us to review more movies or TV shows, let us know. But Taylor, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. I know you guys are really, really busy. Well, you guys have been busy probably since the beginning of this month, haven't you?
Since January, actually, when we opened for submissions.
Well, I was going to say too, because usually, usually once you get closer and closer to the date, that's when things kind of ramp up, aren't they?
Yes, yeah, pretty much as soon as all the filmmakers have been notified, whether they're rejected or accepted, that's what I like to say is when the real work begins.
Hmm.
Because then it's just keeping up frequent communications with the filmmakers, building all the shorts blocks, figuring out all our program guide info. We're one of the few festivals that still do a physical program guide that we give with our swag bag to all of our filmmakers. So it's a lot of info to compile into like a 20-page book. But
so, so what goes into organizing something as big as this? Because I think you're probably the first guest I've had on who's actually said that your festival goes on more than a week. Like, what goes into that?
Yeah, so our festival is a 6-day festival. We open for submissions in January. We're normally end of September, sometimes early October festival. We actually added a day this year. We've been a 5-day festival event for a number of years. This is my 5th year programming as programming director. And honestly, it all starts with the reviewing process. We're getting paid this year, the main directors, which is a first since I came on board as just a general volunteer back in 2016. It's been in an entirely volunteer capacity. But we have a team of volunteer reviewers that report to me to help me with the reviewing process from January pretty much up to early August. And then it's selecting all the films. And, you know, I like to say the real work begins then. And also bringing in like invited films. I volunteered for the first time at Sundance this year, and I've attended South by Southwest virtually. So as an industry professional, I get screeners, short screeners to those festivals. I also work full-time for the Atlanta Film Festival, and I help programming with their animated shorts. So I'll look at some screeners to fill holes in our programming, invite films to play at our festival. And after that, it's compiling all of our shorts into individual blocks thematically and coming up with titles for the blocks and descriptions for the blocks. And then working with our website and program designer to compile all the information. Leading up to tickets going on sale, which is anticipated for the 16th, which is 2 days from now. That's when our schedule is supposed to be live. So right now we're knee deep in promotions. We're starting to promote our special presentation films, which one of our co-festival directors kind of leads, reaching out to distributors and getting some special feature films to fill in with the accepted films that get submitted to us. So we're a relatively small operation. We all wear many hats. That a traditional festival of a larger scale has many other people working on various things, but we do a lot of it just to make sure that it gets done and it gets done successfully.
Now, that's something that's really, really fascinating, because every film festival organizer I've talked to, they're usually wearing at least 3 or 4 hats, because because you guys are running around all over the place months and months in advance, just trying to make sure everything's perfect. So what strikes me is the fact that the longest period, from based on the previous interviews I've done, it's always been the screening process. Like how how stringent or how strenuous is that process for you guys at CFF?
I mean, it is pretty strenuous. This is only one of my 5 jobs that I have. I'm also education coordinator for the Atlanta Film Society Film Festival.
Hmm.
And I also work at Blumenthal Arts in Charlotte. And just recently I relocated to Atlanta. So I now work at Fox Theater as their event staff. So balancing my other jobs with this all in the process. It is a struggle. It's a lot of late nights, a lot of pulling all-nighters. But I keep with it because I think just seeing it all kind of come to fruition and getting to opening day and having our community in one communal space and all of our out-of-town filmmakers coming in is really exciting. And especially like our late night blocks are honestly my favorite to program because we are Discover Different. So that's really where we show our audiences who we are as a festival is through that content. And those blocks in particular, I really like to sit in the audience, just kind of in the corner and just kind of taking it in, because it's a much different experience watching the films by myself and organizing them than being in a room full of people and experiencing that together and getting all their reactions to the films. So it's really exciting, and that's what keeps me wanting to stick with it as long as I have.
So are a lot of these filmmakers, a lot of the films that are being submitted to you guys, are they from all over the country, or are they mainly local?
No, we're all over. This year we have, I believe, 17 countries represented.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah. But we have about 20 to 25 regional films. We also care very deeply about supporting our alum filmmakers when we can. So we have a number of returning filmmakers who we're hoping to have in person too for really engaging Q&As post screenings. So yeah, it's local, regional, national, international. It's the whole gambit. So it's really exciting.
So that leads me to another question, because when it comes to the international filmmaking, a part of me kind of wonders, well, you know, this should be more reserved for the local filmmakers, because you definitely want to promote the local talent, but at the same time, it's like, well, we definitely want to, give voice, to give a platform for these filmmakers who are producing great works.
Mm-hmm.
What can you talk about what was the incentive, or what was the idea behind bringing in international filmmakers to the CFF and having their films part of the programming?
I think it just provides our audiences an opportunity to see stories and perspectives that they may not be familiar with. Again, we're Discover Different, so that means reaching our filmmakers and voices from all over the world. And we're public on Film Freeway, so we're welcome to any submissions. Anybody who's interested in submitting to us. And we have categories: narrative features, narrative shorts, documentary features, documentary shorts. We actually added animated shorts this year, and student shorts. So we really like to support our young storytellers as well. So we get a bulk of submissions. We actually had another record breaking year of submissions this year. So it's really just whoever is interested in our festival, has seen our past work, and has done the research on their own to feel like their film might be appropriate for our programming. So
Yeah, and you also mentioned too that it's very regional. So
mhm.
so so do you think that CFF is like the best platform, or does it do a sufficient enough job to kind of
Mhm.
encourage and promote talent in the Carolinas and in Georgia, or within the southeastern United States?
I think it does. I mean, we're a smaller regional scale as opposed to something like an hour and a half away, the River Run International Film Festival in Winston-Salem, or Full Frame Documentary Film Festival in Durham. I
Hmm.
mean, they're much larger. I don't want to say more established, but they have more of a prestige to them. Um, but I think what we're doing and what we continue to do from year to year is prove ourselves and how ambitious we can get with our storytelling. And I think people are really starting to see that and recognize that, and that's why, and especially coming into our own permanent space with the Independent Picture House in 22. This will be our third festival in that space, and having that art house feel, I think is really exciting for filmmakers and film enthusiasts to come. So I think having that special venue experience is really making us stand out and having us recognized on a larger scale.
Now, I was gonna say, like, because when I volunteered, way back in the day, we held the film festival over at the Epicenter, that movie
Mhm.
theater over the Epicenter. How does it feel to have like a permanent established spot for hosting this film festival, as opposed to kind of wondering, oh God, like, will this theater be available next year?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, like I said earlier, I came on in 2016 when I graduated college, went to all in-state schools, studied film at UNC Wilmington. And when I came back home after I graduated, I was like, what is there to do film? So I just got involved with the festival. I hadn't even known before 2016 that we even had a film festival. Um,
Yeah, me
it
too, me
started in
too.
2006. I mean, there was a period of time where it kind of went into a lull and then it kind of came back and resurfaced. But when I came on, we were actually at the Airsley Grand Cinemas. And I think being in that space that was a shared space with other mainstream, cinema being exhibited.
Hmm.
And we just had like a little, box office station and people who were coming to see like Spider-Man or, you know, they didn't know who we were and they thought they could just buy tickets for a regular film and they're like directing them to the concession stand. But hey, if you want to check out amazing independent film, come back and see us. I
Yeah.
mean, we had 2 theaters that we rented out in that space. I think what was nice about that space was it was in a like larger complex. So we had the Carolina Beer Temple where we did our filmmaker lounge, and that was in walking distance, and a lot of great cuisines around so people can kind of stay on site on campus and just watch films all day. So that was the beauty of that. But it was, it was only about 15-20 minutes from Uptown, but it felt so like separated from the hustle and bustle of the city of Charlotte, even though we were the Charlotte Film Festival. So I think being in the Independent Picture House, when they're coming during the festival, they're solely coming for the film festival. And I think that's really exciting.
So was it so before 2022, was it itinerant? Were you guys just like hopping from one venue to another?
Before 2016, I think there was definitely some venue hopping. I think they utilized some other venues like UNC Charlotte, the Epicenter. I want to say at one time they were at Cinemark Movie Bistro, which wasn't even that. I think it wasn't even called that at the time.
Yeah, it was on Monroe Road, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I mean they utilized other movie venues, but I think now that we are in our own permanent space that is expanding, um, like it's a legit movie theater and but it's an art house movie theater, and I think having that like space where year round like we strive ourselves on supporting independent film solely, I think is really exciting for filmmakers to be able to see their film in a legit movie theater, a fully operational art house that runs 365 days a year. So.
Well, I was gonna say, like, I mean, what I kind of enjoyed about the whole itinerant film festival aspect before you guys settled on IPH was the fact that
Mhm.
you guys got to it felt like it was more of a festival for the entire city of Charlotte. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because if it was like relegated to just the Epicenter Uptown or a theater in Noda, it kind of felt like it was exclusive to that particular area. But having having the venue and hosting it at like in Airsley or on Monroe Road, for instance, it kind of felt like this was a film festival for everybody in Charlotte. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Do you think there'll ever be a time where you guys might go back to that strategy, maybe host it 1 year IPH and then maybe try for a venue in Ballantyne or somewhere in on Providence Road or anything like that?
I think with the expansion of the picture house, I mean, we're just outside of Noda. We're about 15 minutes from Uptown. I think we are relatively centralized. We're also very close to the Blue Links line, so UNC Charlotte students, and we do free student membership, so we get that young traffic throughout the year anyway. And it is kind of a growing area. So I feel like we have everything we need under the IPH roof. And IPH throughout the year, they do community series at like community centers and in parks and stuff like that. So they do go out into other areas of Charlotte, year-round programming. But I feel like for the festival, I think just being in this permanent space, we have everything we need to stay here. So
Yeah, it just makes it easier for logistics and everything
yeah.
going forward. I gotcha. So Taylor, I'm really excited about this year's festival run. What can we expect for 2024?
I think this festival in particular, it was one of my favorite to program because I feel like this year I got really ambitious with the programming just from the stories that were submitted to us. I feel like this was the first year that we like truly embodied Discover Different. I feel like audiences are really going to see that specifically in our shorts programming. And I feel like for first time festival goers, people who haven't been to our festival or haven't been to a film festival ever, I feel like the shorts programming is a really great place to start because there is so many different stories and perspectives packed into a single block that's thematically streamlined. So we have everything from lighter, more quirky comedy stuff to dramas to, can I cuss? Fucked up.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Some experimental stuff and that specifically, that like I said earlier, the late night is really where our like longtime CFF supporters will come to appreciate what all we have as far as programming to offer. And again, I said we had 17 countries represented this year and a wide array of categories featured, and even our special presentations that we're still waiting to hear back from a couple more distributors to really bulk up that programming too. So I'm excited. I'm very excited.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, like, usually around this time of year, that's when it's film festival season, basically, roughly around September up until early December, and it's just like it's just like with Christmas, once December 26th starts, that's when everybody plans for Christmas for next year.
Yeah.
So it's like once once the film festival wraps up, that's when you guys are up and ready to plan for 2025. Do you have anything in sort of in the hopper yet, or is it more of a play by ear kind of thing for next year?
I mean, we opened for submissions again for 2025 in January. And we're still in construction phase for our fourth auditorium and additional event space. So having that fourth auditorium will definitely allow us more programming opportunities and with the event space, more engaging conversations outside of film screenings. So I think 2025 is definitely going to be one of our biggest years yet, just because we are a 6-day festival, so we have to pack a lot in a short time frame. And honestly, one of the hardest parts of the whole process is narrowing down films that I grow an attachment for, and I can't take it all. I just don't have the space for it. So I think having this fourth auditorium is definitely going to allow an opportunity to be able to program even more than we have in the past.
Right. So having that fourth auditorium will definitely give you guys more, I guess more more of a leeway in to how many films or shorts you guys are going to allow, as opposed to the past where you could only take, let's say for instance, like, I'm just going to throw out a random number, like 40, right? So like in the past, if you could only do 40, by the time the expansion's completed next year, you guys could probably do like 60, right?
Well, we're actually narrative shorts. We have 61 this year, and so we have nine narrative shorts blocks, 4 documentary short blocks, 2 student short blocks, and 1 animated short block. So I guess in whole we have about 80 or 90 shorts. But yeah, even doubling that next year, I think, with that extra auditorium.
Yeah, and they'll definitely give the more filmmakers an opportunity to kind of get their foot in the door, so they, so people can kind of see what's going on with, with how people are reacting to their to their content. Well,
Mhm.
another thing I want to ask you too, because because you're running a film festival in in Charlotte,
Mhm.
and Charlotte is is one of those cities where it's slowly starting to pick up in terms of not only being a world class city, but also
Mhm.
because but also because of the fact that we're starting to see more and more of film and television productions come to the area.
Mhm.
What what would you say is probably the most difficult aspect of trying to get everything organized for for CFF? If you had to pick one.
Um, that's a hard question. I think really just narrowing down the submissions, honestly, like, and like I always like to say with friends of mine who are filmmakers and they're looking to submit to festivals, and I always get asked, like, what is a reasonable runtime for a short for a festival? Like, what do they like to see? And I always say, keep it short. Honestly, anything between like 5 and 12 minutes is like such a nice sweet spot for
Hmm.
being able to program something. Once you get into like the 15 to like 20, 25 minute, I mean, we accept shorts up to 40 minutes, but I want to say one of the longest shorts we have ever programmed was about 23 minutes. But that's rare. I mean, it really has to be something that really speaks to me and speaks to our fellow submission reviewers, and something that I feel like audiences it would attract audiences, because I can't take, hundreds of 20-minute shorts. Um, so I think that's one of the hardest bits, is just there are so many great stories out there, and I can't accept it all. But keeping it short definitely helps. So.
I mean, another thing too is the fact that is the fact that with a lot of these filmmakers, I mean, it's great that you guys are expanding your facility, but at the
Mhm.
same time, it's like you, you know we don't want to have just any film come through the hopper. I mean, at the
Mhm.
end, like you said, at the end of the day, it's about finding the film that speaks to you and kind of works for you. Would you say that is there like a particular guideline or some sort of like universal rule that you kind of tell your underlings to to follow, or is it more of you know if you like it and you feel like it's justified, it's in?
Mhm. Well, I think it's a lot of different things that I'm having to factor in when I'm making my final selections. And at the top of it is obviously diversity and representation, and supporting our alum filmmakers when we can, and having a wide array of different stories, because not everyone likes horror and experimental.
Mhm.
Not everyone likes sad drama. Like, having a variety of different genres for people to explore through the festival experience, I think is important, and that's what I have to factor in. And representing not just the United States filmmakers. So speaking to those voices that don't normally get to be seen or heard is something that I look into too when I can.
Now, another thing too, because you said you started in 2016,
Hmm.
as a volunteer, and you slowly kind of learn things, each year, and kind of figured out along the way like what to do and what not to do.
Hmm.
Um, have there been any particular lessons that you've picked up that you thought, you know what, that's actually not bad. I'm gonna put that in my playbook here.
Hmm. I think one of the main things that I've learned over the years, because I mean, festival organizers, I mean, fatigue is a very real thing, and to stay with a film festival for any great length of time is very rare. Just across the board for festival organizers, and especially in my position where I have multiple different obligations with other nonprofit organizations. I do it because I love it, and it's obviously not because of the money, uh,
Hmm.
but I think uh, just sticking with it, and I don't know, I just kind of lost my train of thought, but
No,
uh,
I know what you mean.
yeah.
It's one of those things where you love it so much you just can't explain it. It's just
Hmm.
it's just there.
But yeah,
Gotcha.
I think like a lesson I've learned is just to give myself grace. This was actually like the first year I've actually set like an autoresponder on my emails where I'm like, I will get back with you within 48 hours.
Yep.
And I can't expect myself to, obviously, keeping up frequent communications with filmmakers, that is very vital. And I've seen across the board from other friends who've, submitted to festivals and have not had that communication with the festival team. That's just unacceptable. So that is definitely something that I like. Filmmakers need to be in the know. They're submitting to you their art, and when they get accepted, like they need information that carries them through up until the first day of the festival. But I think, stepping back and giving myself some grace is definitely at the forefront.
Yeah, and I've also learned too that sometimes it's a good thing to not take it all in, carry
Mm-hmm.
the workload all by yourself, because
Yes.
because that can lead to burnout, and that can lead you at saying, I'm done with this.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely I if nothing else, it's definitely just me giving a shout out to all the volunteers, because it just goes to show that there are no insignificant roles in organizing this film festival.
Yeah.
Uh, um, so 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 I do want to be respectful of your time, so I don't want to kind of like go over the board. But before we wrap up, are there any particular movies that you've seen that you feel that if you're okay with
Mm-hmm.
mentioning, are there any particular movies or shorts that you've seen that have stood out to you that you're really really excited for people to check out?
Well, obviously our late night block, which I actually titled it this year. I'll like quickly run through our short block descriptions.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, so we have our animated shorts and our student shorts. One is Teacher's Pet. Student shorts two, Mess with the Bull, Get the Horns. Documentary short one, Protect at All Costs, which I'm very excited about. Documentary shorts two, this one's for the makers. Documentary shorts three, One Within. Documentary shorts four, Not All Heroes Wear Capes, which is another really excellent one. They're all excellent, obviously. But my narrative shorts, Who Are You? Love Somebody, Lost Control, question mark, All in the Family, Past slash Away, Bitter slash Sweet, See slash Saw, Tears for Fears, and Killer Good Time. So Killer Good Time is like definitely that block where if you really want to discover different, that I would definitely recommend that one. But another one that I really love, that I'm really excited about, is Bittersweet. I think it's a really gentle balance between grief, but also getting to your own path and figuring that out. And then with our documentary shorts, Protect at All Costs, it just has a really a great selection of really quirky characters, people who are living their authentic, true selves. So I think that's a really beautiful block of films. And yeah, they're all great. And there's definitely something for everyone. It's definitely a wide array of themes this year. So yeah.
Well, I was gonna say the one that stood out to me was Tears for Fears, just because
Yeah.
they're one of my favorite bands, and
Yeah.
oddly enough, Taylor, I was listening to Everybody Rules the World last night. So
Mhm.
so when you said that, my ears kind of perked up. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's just out of curiosity, like, so how do you come up with the names for these blocks? Is it something that just comes to you while you're like scrolling Spotify, or is it, you just ask people to put like names in a hat and you kind of draw them out at random? Like, how does that come about?
So in like my other 4 years of programming, I've never like thought to put titles for blocks. And I've like quickly realized like that's so boring. Like when filmmakers are promoting their blocks, like
Mhm.
I'm playing in narrative shorts one or doc shorts three. Like it's just I think having like that like quick title like intrigues people to learn more about what those block of films is. And actually, one of my submission reviewers, Andrew Horton, he helped me brainstorm this year because that's like one of the things like I program all the shorts, I organize them within the block, figuring out what I should start people with, what I should end people with. So I definitely put in the dirty work, and then figuring out titles is just not like my strong suit. So he helped me brainstorm this year. But I think we were just kind of thinking about the thematics of each of the blocks and kind of a central like thread that kind of tied all the films together. And kind of went from there, just kind of solely based off the different synopses in each of the blocks.
Excellent. Well, Taylor, I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your very, very busy schedule to come onto the show. So if people want to learn more about the film festival or about IPH, where can they go?
Yeah, so we are on Instagram, Facebook, X. They can go to charlottefilmfestival.org. Our schedule will go live in 2 days. That is the plan. And tickets will also go on sale that day. So people can start perusing. All of our films have been announced at this point. So they can start perusing the website, figuring out what they might like to see. We also including individual tickets, we have ticket packs of 5 and 10 if they want to see a bulk of films. And yeah, they can follow us on social media, Charlotte Film Festival and the Independent Picture House. And yeah, and if anyone is local throughout the year, come by IPH and see what we have to offer. And yeah, that's it.
Excellent. Well, Taylor, again, I can't thank you enough for taking time to be on this podcast. And I just want to thank everybody for taking the time to watch this episode. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and check out CFF because they definitely deserve their kudos. They've been working really, really hard. And as someone who used to volunteer, you see by my t-shirt, I highly recommend you check it out because there's so much great talent out there. They need a shout out. So for the Movie Pope podcast, thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the flip side.